CEO told to, self-delete in a car crash after firing engineers who had 2 full-time jobs. Boss says it was quote-unquote stealing. But what do you think? Well, I definitely have some choice words here. But let's read the article first. So a boss lit a small fire under LinkedIn when he posted that his company had sacked 2 recently hired engineers for continuing to work a full-time job at another company. Now, I'd have to ask for details. Was their performance poor as a result at this company? Because in that case, I understand. But if they were meeting their expectations and standards and they were doing their job as was required of them, and then afterwards it was discovered they had another job and they were fired for that, now that's bullshit. The Corona-Chan pandemic brought a seismic shift to the workplace as office workers are encouraged to perform their roles from home in order to limit the spread. I took advantage of the Corona-Chan fear very well. Since the madness has calmed, you think? Many have opted to continue working this way or in hybrid arrangements where the employee comes in for a number of days each week. Many workers who were able to do their job from home liked it. They could focus better without the hustle and bustle of the office life, and it put an end to onerous and expensive commutes and time-consuming. It also has given parents more flexibility, of course, just as many didn't like it for various reasons, usually social or the importance of face-to-face communication in their job. Some jobs you can't do remote as well. So leaders of companies, on the other hand, feared it would be a productivity drain or worse, lead to inability to determine productivity. Last year, overemployment became a trend, with articles from the Wall Street Journal and Forbes reporting on the sensation of people who used the lockdown restrictions to work 2 full-time jobs without letting either employer know. Brilliant! While some workers would view this as a finger to Western capitalism, bosses don't take too kindly to the chicanery involved in pulling this off. Now, why? As long as they're like the top performers in their department, why? Who cares? And plus, how would this be a finger to Western capitalism? Yeah, fuck capitalism. I'm gonna work 2 jobs. No, dude, if you're working 2 jobs, you are like capitalism incarnate. Now, this is exactly the situation Davis Bell, CEO of cloud-based accounting practice management software company Canopy, that is a lot of buzzwords, seems to describe in his post on social network for Suits. This is not about side hustles or moonlighting, he said. These were people holding down 2 full-time synchronous jobs and lying about it, trying to be in 2 meetings at once, etc. Oh, I could easily pull that off. My meetings, unless I got unlucky and had to be in 2 meetings that actually require my full attention and input. Their early performance was really bad, and fortunately, we have great managers who sniffed them out very quickly, the cloud CEO explained. Okay, now you see, if this part's true, if they caught them because their performance was bad, okay, like I can't fault the CEO for this one. And this also kind of implies that if their performance was still good enough that there was no suspicion, they'd still be at that job. Yeah, so if what this guy says is true, then those 2 employees were just idiots and they got what they deserved. Yeah, you don't do something like this unless you can actually pull it off. And whenever I read stories in the media about people doing this, I'm usually surprised that they don't make a bigger deal of the core moral issues at play. Working 2 full-time jobs is stealing. It also involves a great deal of lying and deception. Okay, no. See, now I'm gonna have to disagree. If you can hold down 2 or more jobs, and your boss doesn't even know because your performance is the same, shut the fuck up about stealing. And plus, loyalty is a 2-way street. Don't make me repeat that again. These are companies that would fire you at the drop of a hat, and then they expect you to remain 100% loyal to them and not have a backup plan? So he continued, I guess some people feel stealing from companies is less wrong than stealing from individuals. In reality, companies are owned by people, either directly in the case of our employees or indirectly by the retirement funds they're invested in, venture and private equity investment funds that own companies. You're stealing from those who are depending on you to get the work done and whose careers ride on success of the companies for which they work. So if these people are like let's say Since they mentioned earlier, it's getting harder to gauge productivity. Okay, what if the people that held down multiple jobs were also the top performers in their department? You still gonna shit on them? Well, actually, that's a rhetorical question. I know they're still gonna shit on them. I know they will. Because even if you had an employee that was the top performer in the whole company, if it was discovered they had another job, management would immediately say, it's like, well, but you could perform double for us. Now, okay, and now that's the point where you negotiate too. Because like I'm in that situation as well. Like, if I have to do overtime at my day job, I don't get paid anymore for it. I'm salary. I get the same no matter what. But if I do more, like if I put out more YouTube videos, if I do more streams, if I put out another book, that directly leads to making more money. So if I had a choice, so do I do overtime for no extra pay at my current job, or do I use that time to do something that will actually, not only immediately result in more money, but build up a future product or brand and side hustle? Which one do you think I'm going to choose? Yeah, this is the point where you got to negotiate. It's like, hey, boss, you want me to put in double effort for your company? I better see a double paycheck next pay period. Yeah, I'm not going to give you double effort for free. And finally, you're very likely stealing a job from someone who wants and needs it. Now, this is a appeal to emotion right there, but it's not exactly wrong. Because, like, unfortunately, yeah, there are people out there who are unemployed, who are looking for work and can't find anything. So yeah, I could understand why those, like, if those people looked out and saw everyone around them have 2 or 3 jobs, oh yeah, they're probably furious for good reason. Bell then listed what could be deemed as red flags from the sacked engineers after they joined Canopy, including turning their LinkedIn profile to private after being hired so they didn't have to update their job to Canopy. My strategy for this is I don't even use LinkedIn. Problem solved. And I let the employers know too. Like, I might update it while I'm job hunting, but afterwards I don't. Like, I just disable it. Not signing up for benefits. Depends on what the benefits were. But that's true. Like, if you already have another job where you have all your benefits, yeah. Now this is true. That would be a red flag. So it'll cost you extra money, but you might want to sign up for like 2 different health insurances. Just like, yeah, it's better than being caught. Camera off in meetings. I always have it off unless I'm told to turn it on. Slow responses over Slack or email. I try to be good with that. Like, I'll admit my response time's pretty good. Frequently late or absent from meetings. There's no reason to be late or absent from a meeting because they're all useless anyway. Like, all I got to do is log into the Teams meeting and then just mute myself and go back to doing what I was doing. Working for very large companies where it seems like it may be easier to hang out and hide divided efforts. Now, that's true. So you can't do this at a small startup. If there's only like 5 people at the company and one person is slacking, it's going to be easy to tell. But if you work for a giant bloated corporation, oh yeah, it is so easy to exploit them. This is true. I'll give him credit there. So he noted that one or more of these may not necessarily mean you're pulling the wool over your employer's eyes. For example, staff often have the camera off during meetings because they look or feel awful after more than 2 hours of trying to get 2 young children to where they need to be. Or B, they went to bed too late and are inhaling coffee. Or C, ain't nobody got to see that. The tubing. Some are often a couple of minutes late to meetings because they already started work and haven't noticed the time, but at least they turn up. Yeah. Also, a lot of times other meetings run late. So earlier this year, a poster on the infamous subreddit of indignant wage slaves anti-work claimed that they had managed to fully automate their job and hadn't told anyone about it. Now, this is called living the dream right here. This is management material. So I work for a mid-sized law firm that hired me as an IT specialist to handle all their digital evidence for trials. The law firm was in the process of changing the evidence management system to cloud-based. They wanted me to be the only person with admin access to the cloud. As everyone else would be limited to view only and would work on a local drive. Sounds great, but I quickly realized this was only the only task they expected me to perform in my 8-hour shift. This is in no way an 8-hour job, so I was stuck finding busy work at the office most of the time. Now, this is an advantage. So if you can work from home and you have a boss that's not a tech person and doesn't understand how much work things take, you could take advantage of that. But no, if your boss gets replaced by someone who actually understands this, you run a real big risk. Some new person who actually has knowledge of the process might start asking why you only did 1 week's worth of work last year. So then Corona Chan happened. And I was asked if there was any way I could work from home. I set up a remote workstation, tunneled it to my house, and that's when the real fun began. In about a week, I was able to write, debug, and perfect a simple script that performed my entire job. It essentially scans the on-site drive for any new files, generates a hash values for them, transfers them to the cloud, then generates hash values again for fidelity. In court, you have to prove digital evidence has been tampered with. I clock in every day, play video games or do whatever. And then at the end of the day, I look over the logs to make sure everything ran smoothly, then clock out. I'm only at my desk maybe 10 minutes a day. Yeah, this is a dream job right here. This is the type of job I want to have, because that would free up all of my time to do the shit I actually care about. Yeah, this is called living the fucking dream. As far as anyone knows, they continue to play video games or do whatever while on the clock. The poster was hailed as a hero. Yes. The most upvoted comments saying, think of your wages as a subscription service to your automation program. Yup. That's right. Play their own shit against them. So the solution, if true, of a batch script with portions of PowerShell certainly showed some know-how and could be seen as work. Undertaking itself that freed them up from passion projects, or indeed another job altogether. Now, imagine if you could land like 5 of these jobs at once that you just automate. You'd be drawing 5 paychecks. Canopy's Bell, however, turned the comments off in his post after he received a phone call from someone telling him they hope he dies in a car crash. The rant was found and shared on Anti-Work. So the comments on that post are far less accommodating. It's yet more rules for thee, but not for me bullshit. One said they're free to chase whatever profit they want in whatever manner they want, but the idea of an employee being able to being anything other than a serf bound solely to them and them alone clearly gets their blood boiling. Yeah, that's a true statement. They expect 100% loyalty from you, but they don't reciprocate. That's for damn sure. So the problem seems to be that CEOs can come across as deeply privileged. The hard work and enormous intellect that it may or may not have taken to get there doesn't matter. That's also true, actually. So a lot of, like, at least the self-made CEOs and millionaires, like the ones that inherited their shit from someone else, are a different story. But the ones that worked their way up to that position, yeah. So Bill not only lists himself as Canopy CEO, but also as angel investor. Though he told Insider that his investor gig only takes up an hour a month, this would still count as having more than one job to people on the street. Now, would he distinguish that between a full-time job, though? So Elon Musk is CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. How does he have time for both roles, but a lowly engineer can't perform 2 jobs? Good question. And all these CEOs usually sit on the board of directors of other companies too, and that's fine. The CEO can have multiple jobs, but I can't, huh? So shouldn't we be accusing those CEOs of stealing from the company, right? Yeah, note that in a scene from the Big Black Cock documentary, Elon Musk show, Musk is seen patrolling Tesla offices, complaining that staff weren't at their desks after 9 p.m. But who was holding down the fort at SpaceX as he did that? Damn good question. I guess it's different because he owns the companies. So he I mean, it's his company. He could do with it what he wants, I guess. He gets to set the rules. But outside of that, that's a good point. Jack Dorsey was CEO of Twitter and Block for a time. Bezos was somehow managed to helm Amazon and Blue Origin simultaneously. All this says to ordinary people that if you're worth billions, you can do whatever you want. Well, no, it's not that if you're worth billions. If you own the company, you can do whatever you want. And all the while, those at the coalface, those actually solving the problems, netting sales, talking with customers, scrubbing toilets, have no idea what it is a CEO actually does. In Bell's case, it was the engineer's poor performance and workplace verification that exposed them within the first 3 months. But surely, if you can work 2 jobs effectively with no one being the wiser, And that's the employer's problem, not yours. I agree 100% with this statement. If I could do 3 jobs at once and neither of them could tell I have other jobs and I'm getting praised for my performance, none of their fucking business what my other jobs are. Now, we've set up a poll for your amusement. If you're overemployed, why not tell us how you got away with it or got fired in the comments? I guess I'm kind of lucky in that I don't have a second quote unquote real job. So even if I got busted, like I could always tell my boss, is like, is it really unusual for people to work 9 to 5 and have a YouTube channel these days? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah. Now, if I worked another full-time job at at another company in the industry, oh God, if it was with a competitor, yeah, now that could be a fucking problem. But something tells me that's not what happened here. Yeah, but this really does. It reminds me of that story about that guy a few years ago that he had like 7 different jobs and he didn't automate them. He didn't work the jobs himself. He had all these jobs and he actually paid a Chinese company to do all the work for him for a fraction of what his paycheck was. But now that's called being an entrepreneur. That's being a manager. And of course, he got in trouble for that. It's like, man, they should have promoted him to the owner of the fucking company.